Victor Elliott's eyes darted between the crowded mall's security cameras and the man in the black hoodie who kept circling around the high-end boutique. 6 years, as a mall security guard had taught him to recognize predatory behavior, and this guy was setting off every alarm in Victor's head. But today, of all days, Victor couldn't afford to make a mistake. One wrong call, and he might lose this job too, the last thing his 8-year-old daughter Lily needed. "Daddy, can I get a pretzel, please?" Lily tugged at his uniform sleeve, her brown eyes wide with hope. It was take your child to work day, and bringing her had been his only option after his babysitter canceled. "Not now, sweetheart," Victor whispered, kneeling to her level. "Daddy's watching someone suspicious. Remember our talk about being my special assistant today?" Lily nodded solemnly, clutching her stuffed rabbit closer. "Is it a bad guy?" Victor hesitated. "Maybe. Stay close, okay?" Rising to his feet, Victor watched as a woman emerged from the boutique, tall, elegant, with chestnut hair falling in waves around her shoulders. Even in casual jeans and a simple blouse, she carried herself with unmistakable confidence. The hooded man straightened immediately, his pace quickening as he followed her. "Sir," Victor spoke into his radio. "Possible stalking situation near Lux Boutique. I'm moving to intercept." Static crackled back. "Copy that, Elliot. Backup's tied up with a shoplifting case. You're on your own for now." "Great, just great. Come on, Lily," Victor said, taking his daughter's hand. "We need to move quickly." They weaved through the Saturday afternoon crowd, keeping the woman in sight. The stalker was closing in, his hand reaching into his pocket. Victor's heart hammered. "Was he armed?" "Excuse me, miss," Victor called out, catching up to the woman just as the stalker was within arm's reach of her. "Grace," the woman turned, confusion crossing her striking features. Before she could speak, Victor positioned himself between her and the stalker, Lily partially hidden behind him. "So good to see you," Victor said loudly, maintaining eye contact with the woman while tilting his head slightly toward the hooded man. "We've been looking everywhere for you." Understanding flashed in her green eyes. "Oh yes, I lost track of time shopping." Her voice was smooth, cultured. The stalker hesitated, hovering uncertainly now that his target was no longer alone. "This is my daughter, Lily," Victor continued, his voice friendly but his eyes conveying warning. "And I'm Victor Elliot." "Grace," she replied, catching on. "Grace Evans. Lovely to meet you both." Victor noticed the stalker backing away, scowling beneath his hood. "Mind if we walk with you? The food court's this way." "Not at all," Grace said, smiling at Lily. "I'd appreciate the company." As they walked, Victor kept one eye on the retreating figure of the stalker. "I'm sorry about that," he said quietly. "I'm mall security." "That man's been following you since you left the boutique." Grace's smile faltered. "I thought someone was watching me. Thank you for stepping in." She looked down at Lily, who was studying her with undisguised curiosity. "And thank you too, Assistant Security Officer." Lily beamed. "Daddy says I'm the best at spotting bad guys." "Well, you have excellent taste in rabbits," Grace replied, nodding at the stuffed toy. "What's his name?" "Mr. Hoppington," Lily declared proudly. "He's retired from the circus." Grace laughed, a genuine sound that made Victor glance at her face. Their eyes met briefly, and something unexpected flickered between them. "I should call this in," Victor said, breaking the moment. "Can you describe any interactions you might have had with this man before?" Grace shook her head. "None. But I've noticed the same man at several places I've been this week. I thought I was being paranoid." "Trust your instincts," Victor advised, guiding them toward the security office. "Would you be willing to file a report? We can check the security footage, maybe get a clear image of his face." "Of course," Grace agreed. She hesitated, then added, "I've had some unwanted attention before. Comes with the territory, I suppose." Victor raised an eyebrow. "Territory. Just my line of work," she said vaguely. "I should have been more careful." In the security office, Victor settled Lily with her coloring books while he and Grace reviewed the footage. The stalker's face was partially visible in several frames. "I'll send these to local police," Victor said, printing the clearest images. "They take stalking seriously these days." "Do you have someone who can escort you home?" Grace checked her phone. "My driver's outside, I'll be fine." She glanced at Lily, who was intently coloring a unicorn. "She's beautiful. You're doing this job alone," Victor stiffened slightly. Her mother's not in the picture, it's just us. He didn't add that, after losing his construction company to bankruptcy and his house to foreclosure, mall security had been the only job he could find that worked with Lily's school schedule. "You're doing a great job," Grace said softly. "Thank you again for your help today." "Just doing my job," Victor replied automatically, though they both knew he'd gone beyond his usual duties. Grace scribbled something on a business card. "If you notice him again, or if anything comes of the police report." She handed him the card, which read simply, "Grace Evans, Evans Foundation," with a phone number. "The Evans Foundation?" Victor asked, recognition dawning. The philanthropic organization was well known locally for its children's programs. Grace nodded. "I should go, my driver's waiting." She turned to Lily. "Goodbye, Assistant Officer Lily. Take good care of Mr. Hoppington." After she left, Victor stared at the business card, a strange feeling settling in his chest. There had been something in Grace's eyes, something that made him wish their meeting had happened under different circumstances. "Daddy," Lily interrupted his thoughts. "I like her, she's pretty." Victor tucked the card into his pocket. "Yes, she is. And she didn't even look at you funny for having me here," Lily added perceptively. Victor smiled, ruffling his daughter's hair. "Come on, Squirt, let's get that pretzel before my break ends." 3 days later, Victor was patrolling the West Wing when his radio crackled. "Elliot, visitor at the main office for you." Curious, Victor made his way to the front, wondering if police had news about the stalker. Instead, he found Grace Evans waiting, looking even more striking in a simple dress and blazer than she had in casual clothes. "Miss Evans," he greeted her, suddenly conscious of his rumpled uniform. "Please, it's Grace," she corrected. "I wanted to thank you properly. The police identified the man from your footage. He's been arrested apparently. I wasn't his first target." Relief washed over Victor. "That's good news." "Yes," Grace agreed. She hesitated, then asked, "Would you and Lily like to join me for dinner tonight as a thank you?" Victor blinked, taken aback. "That's really not necessary, I insist," Grace said. "Unless you have plans." "Plans?" Victor nearly laughed. His plans involved microwave macaroni and helping Lily with her spelling homework. "No plans," he admitted. "But perfect," Grace interrupted. "I know a place that's very kid-friendly. 7 o'clock. Before Victor could formulate a polite refusal, she handed him a slip of paper with an address. "It's just a thank you dinner," she added, as if sensing his hesitation. Nothing more, but something in her smile made Victor wonder if that was entirely true, and something in his own quickening heartbeat made him realize he hoped it wasn't. 7 o'clock, he agreed. The restaurant wasn't what Victor expected. Rather than some upscale establishment where he'd feel hopelessly out of place, it was a cozy Italian place with checkered tablecloths and crayons for kids. Still, when Grace's sleek car dropped them off, he felt underdressed in his best button-down shirt and only pair of non-work pants. "Daddy, they have spaghetti," Lily exclaimed as they were seated. Grace smiled. "And excellent tiramisu for dessert." "What's that?" Lily asked. "Only the best dessert ever invented," Grace replied conspiratorially. "It's like cake and coffee had a beautiful baby." Lily giggled, immediately charmed. Victor watched their interaction, struck by how naturally Grace spoke to his daughter. No condescension, no baby talk, just straightforward conversation. "So," Victor began as they settled with menus, "the Evans Foundation, that's impressive work." Grace shrugged modestly. "It's a family business in a way. My grandfather started it, my father expanded it, and now I run it." "Running a foundation must keep you busy," Victor remarked, wondering why someone like Grace Evans would make time for dinner with a mall security guard and his daughter. "Too busy according to my board," Grace admitted. "They think I need to delegate more, have more of a personal life." She smiled at Lily. "What grade are you in, Lily?" "Third," Lily said proudly. "I'm reading chapter books now, and I know all my multiplication tables up to 12. "Impressive," Grace said. "I struggled with math at your age." "Me too," Lily exclaimed. "But Daddy helps me, he's super good at numbers." Grace turned curious eyes to Victor. "Are you?" Victor shifted uncomfortably. "I used to run a small construction company." "You learn to be good with numbers or you go under." He didn't add that he'd gone under anyway, thanks to a perfect storm of bad luck and the economic downturn, dinner progressed with surprising ease. Grace asked thoughtful questions about Lily's school and interests, and gradually, Victor found himself relaxing, even sharing stories about his more bizarre security encounters. Grace laughed genuinely at his tales, her reserve melting as the evening went on. "So how did you end up in security?" Grace asked as they waited for dessert. Victor hesitated. "It's flexible hours, good for a single dad." Grace nodded, accepting his non-answer gracefully. "And Lily's mother left when Lily was 2, he said quietly. She wasn't ready for the responsibility. It was the simplest version of a complicated, painful story. "Her loss," Grace said, watching Lily carefully color her kid's menu. "You've raised an amazing daughter." The conversation shifted to lighter topics, but Victor caught Grace watching him thoughtfully several times. When the check came, she smoothly intercepted it before he could reach for it. "This is my thank you," she reminded him. Outside the restaurant, Grace's driver waited with her car. "Can we give you a lift home?" she offered. Victor should have refused. His apartment was in a neighborhood he wasn't proud of, but the night had turned cold, and the bus would take forever. "That would be nice, thank you." In the back seat of the luxury car, Lily dozed against Victor's arm, exhausted from the excitement of the evening. Grace sat across from them, her face softened in the dim light. "She's fighting to stay awake," Grace observed with a smile. "Big day," Victor agreed. "She'll be talking about this for weeks." Grace met his eyes. "Just her?" The question hung between them, loaded with possibilities Victor hadn't allowed himself to consider in years. Before he could respond, the car slowed in front of his apartment, building a worn complex with peeling paint and security bars on the windows. "This is us," he said, embarrassment washing over him. If Grace was surprised by their modest home, she didn't show it. "I had a wonderful time tonight, Victor." "So did we," he replied honestly, gathering a sleepy Lily into his arms. "Thank you." Grace hesitated, then said, "The foundation is sponsoring a carnival for underprivileged kids this Saturday at Westside Park. Lots of games, rides, food. Would Lily like to come? You too, of course." Victor knew he should politely decline. Grace Evans lived in a different world, one he'd glimpsed once before losing everything. Getting involved would only lead to complications neither of them needed, but Lily stirred in his arms. "Carnival," she murmured sleepily. "Can we go, Daddy, please?" Victor looked at his daughter's hopeful face, then at Grace's warm smile and found himself nodding. "We'd love to." "Wonderful," Grace said, her eyes lighting up. "I'll text you the details." As Victor carried Lily upstairs to their apartment, he wondered what he was getting himself into. Grace Evans was beautiful, kind, and clearly wealthy, the exact opposite of his current life situation. He'd been down this road before with Lily's mother, who'd been attracted to his ambition, until failure had turned it to dust. Still, as he tucked Lily into bed, he found himself thinking about Grace's smile and the way she'd treated his daughter with genuine interest and respect. Those weren't things money could buy. Saturday arrived with perfect early summer weather. Victor and Lily arrived at the park to find it transformed with colorful tents, rides, and game booths. Children from the community programs supported by the Evans Foundation ran excitedly from attraction to attraction. "Look, Daddy," Lily pointed to a towering Ferris wheel. "Can we ride that?" "Let's find Miss Evans first," Victor suggested, scanning the crowd. "It's Grace," came a voice behind them. "And I found you first." They turned to see Grace approaching, looking completely different from the elegant woman they'd met at the mall. Today, she wore jeans and a foundation t-shirt, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Somehow, the casual appearance only enhanced her natural beauty. "You came," she said, her smile brightening as Lily ran to her. "Miss Grace, do they have cotton candy, and can we ride the Ferris wheel?" "Mr. Hoppington loves Ferris wheels," Grace laughed. "They have everything, and yes, we can absolutely ride the Ferris wheel. But first, would you like to see the petting zoo? There are baby goats." Lily's eyes widened. Baby goats, the day unfolded in a blur of rides, games, and laughter. Victor watched in amazement as Grace, who clearly had responsibilities at the event, nevertheless devoted herself to ensuring Lily had the perfect day. She introduced them to volunteers and foundation staff, but never in a way that made Victor feel like a charity case. During a break while Lily was getting her face painted, Grace and Victor sat on a bench sharing a funnel cake. "You're good at this," Victor observed. "The foundation work. It clearly means a lot to you," Grace nodded. "My mother died when I was young. My father threw himself into growing the family business, but he made sure I understood that our wealth came with responsibility." She smiled wryly. "I was a lonely kid with too many toys and not enough playmates. I guess that's why I started focusing the foundation on children's programs." "That explains why you're so natural with Lily," Victor said. "She's usually shy with new people." "She's wonderful," Grace replied. "You've done an amazing job with her." She hesitated, then added, "I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you don't seem like someone who's always been in security work." Victor tensed slightly, but found himself wanting to share the truth. "I had a construction company, custom homes mostly. Business was really good until the housing market crashed. I overextended, took on too many speculative projects, lost everything about 3 years ago." "I'm sorry," Grace said softly. "The hardest part wasn't losing the business or even the house," Victor admitted. "It was explaining to Lily why her mom wasn't coming back. Marion left when things started getting bad, said she hadn't signed up for struggle." Grace's expression hardened. "That's terrible." "It was tough," Victor acknowledged, "but Lily and we've been okay. Different kind of life than I planned, but we manage." "You do more than manage," Grace said. "You're giving her stability, love, values. Those are the things that really matter." Before Victor could respond, Lily bounded up, her face painted like a rainbow butterfly. "Daddy, look and miss. Grace, they have a bounce house. Can we go?" The rest of the day passed in a whirlwind of activity. Victor found himself relaxing, enjoying not just Lily's excitement but Grace's company. She was nothing like he'd expected a foundation director and possible heiress to be. She got dirty in the petting zoo, cheered loudly during the sack races, and ate carnival food with unrestrained enjoyment. As the event wound down and the sun began to set, Grace invited them to stay for the volunteer appreciation dinner. "It's just pizza and ice cream," she explained, "but I'd like you both to join us." During dinner, Victor watched as Grace moved among the volunteers, thanking each personally. Several times he caught her looking in his direction, her expression softening whenever their eyes met. It was a feeling he hadn't experienced in years, the gentle pull of attraction, the wondering if someone felt the same way. As they were leaving, Grace walked them to the parking lot. Lily, exhausted from the day's adventures, leaned heavily against Victor's side. "I think someone's ready for bed," Grace observed with a smile. "Way past bedtime," Victor agreed. "But worth it. Thank you for inviting us." Grace's expression turned serious. "Victor, I've really enjoyed spending time with you both. I'd like to see you again, if you're interested." Victor hesitated. The practical part of his brain screamed warnings. She was clearly wealthy, probably influential, definitely out of his league. But there was something in her eyes, a genuine warmth, maybe even vulnerability, that made him nod. "I'd like that." Grace's smile was worth any risk. "Good, because there's another foundation event next weekend, a much more boring adult dinner. I could use someone interesting to talk to." "I don't exactly have a tux hanging in my closet," Victor warned. "You don't need one," Grace assured him. "Just be you. That's who I want to spend time with." Over the next few weeks, Grace became a regular part of their lives. She joined them for pizza and movie nights at their apartment, never showing a hint of judgment about their modest home. She helped Lily with a science project, bringing supplies and spending hours creating a solar system mobile that hung proudly from Lily's bedroom ceiling. Victor took her to his favorite spots in the city, places that didn't cost money but held meaning. The Overlook, where he'd taught Lily to fly a kite, the public library with its magnificent architecture, the community garden where they volunteered on Sundays. They talked for hours about his dreams of rebuilding his business someday, about her struggles to be taken seriously as a woman leading the foundation, about their shared love of old movies and hiking and terrible jokes that made Lily roll her eyes. What they didn't talk about was money. Victor knew Grace was wealthy, the foundation alone made that obvious, but she never flaunted it or made him feel less than. and he found himself falling for her genuine laugh, her compassion, her ability to find joy in simple things. But reality had a way of intruding. One evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Grace received a call that she took in the hallway outside Victor's apartment. When she returned, her expression was troubled. "Everything okay?" Victor asked. Grace sighed. "Foundation business. The annual gala is next month, and there's some drama with the venue." She hesitated. "Victor, there's something I should tell you." His heart sank. Here it comes, he thought. The part where she explains this has been fun, but she needs someone more suited to her lifestyle. The Evans Foundation. "It's not just my job. The Evans Group is my family's company. I'm the CEO and majority shareholder." Victor stared at her blankly. "The Evans Group, the real estate development company," Grace nodded, "and technology investments and several other divisions. My grandfather built it, my father expanded it, and now you run it all," Victor finished, the pieces falling into place. "The Evans Group is worth billions." "The money doesn't define me," Grace said quickly. "I wanted you to know me, not my bank account." Victor stood, pacing the small living room. "You're not just wealthy, Grace. You're practically royalty in this city. Your company owns half the skyline." "Does it matter?" she asked quietly. "Does it change how you feel about me?" Victor stopped pacing, looking at her intently. "Why me? You could be with anyone. Why a struggling security guard with an 8-year-old daughter and an apartment the size of your closet?" "Because you saw me," Grace said simply. "Not my money, not my name, me. You protected me that day at the mall not because I was Grace Evans, but because I was a person who needed help." She moved closer to him. "And because when I'm with you and Lily, I feel like I belong somewhere, not just to something." "I can't give you the life you're accustomed to," Victor said, though his resolve was weakening as she approached. "I don't want you to," Grace replied. "I want a partner, Victor, someone who challenges me, supports me, makes me laugh, someone who sees me for who I really am." She took his hands. "I'm falling in love with you, and I hope you might be falling for me too." The simplicity of her declaration broke through Victor's defenses. "I am," he admitted, "but Grace, our worlds are so different." "Then let's build a new one together," she said, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "One where we both belong, where Lily can thrive, where what matters isn't what we have but who we are to each other." Victor pulled her close, all his doubts temporarily silenced by the rightness of holding her. "I've been hurt before," he whispered, "and Lily's been through so much already." "I would never hurt either of you," Grace promised. "I love Lily too." Their first kiss was tender, tentative, a beginning rather than a conclusion. When they separated, Victor rested his forehead against hers. "So what happens now?" "Now we take it one day at a time," Grace answered. Like anyone else falling in love. The following months brought challenges as their worlds collided. Victor endured scrutiny from Grace's board members and business associates. Gossip columns speculated about the mysterious single father who had captured Grace Evans' heart. His coworkers at the mall treated him differently once word got out who he was dating, but there were beautiful moments too. Grace using her connections to help Victor secure a small business loan to restart his construction company, this time focusing on sustainable, affordable housing. Victor supporting Grace through a contentious board meeting where she pushed for more community investment. The three of them building a treehouse at Grace's weekend home, covered in paint and laughing until their sides hurt. And Lily, flourishing with 2 adults who adored her, who made her feel secure even as her world expanded in ways Victor could never have provided alone. 1 year after they met, Victor took Lily on a special shopping trip. "What do you think of this one?" he asked, pointing to a simple but elegant ring. Lily studied it critically. "It's pretty, but Miss Grace likes things that tell stories." "What kind of story should this ring tell?" Victor asked, smiling at his daughter's insight. Lily thought for a moment. "That you found each other when you weren't looking, and that you're stronger together." The jeweler, overhearing, brought out a unique ring, a sapphire surrounded by smaller diamonds in a pattern that resembled a protective circle. "The sapphire represents trust and loyalty," she explained. "The diamonds, strength and endurance." Victor checked the price tag and winced. Even with his business growing, this was a stretch. "We can look at others," the jeweler offered, noticing his expression. "No," Victor said firmly, "this is the one." That weekend, they took Grace to the mall where they'd first met. Lily was in on the plan, practically vibrating with excitement. "Why are we here on your day off?" Grace asked, bemused. "And why is Lily filming everything with my phone? Documentation," Lily said solemnly. For historical purposes, Victor led them to the spot near the boutique where he'd first intercepted Grace's stalker. His heart pounded as he turned to face her. "A year ago, I was just doing my job," he began. "I had no idea that protecting you would change my life forever." Grace's eyes widened as she realized what was happening. "You came into our lives when I'd stopped believing in second chances," Victor continued. "You loved my daughter like she was your own. You saw value in me when I'd forgotten it myself." He dropped to one knee, pulling out the ring box. "Grace Evans, I don't have an empire to offer you, but I can promise to protect you, support you, challenge you, and love you for the rest of our lives. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Grace's face as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. 1,000 times yes." As Victor slipped the ring onto her finger, applause erupted around them. Mall shoppers and employees, many who recognized Victor from his security days, had gathered to witness the moment. Lily threw her arms around both of them. "Does this mean I get to be flower girl and junior bridesmaid?" They laughed, holding each other close as the crowd dispersed. "It means we're officially a family," Grace told her, kissing the top of Lily's head. "We already were," Lily declared with certainty. "This just makes it official." 6 months later, they married in a ceremony that balanced Grace's social obligations with Victor's desire for simplicity. Lily stole the show, proudly performing both her flower girl and junior bridesmaid duties with theatrical flair. During their first dance, Victor held Grace close, still sometimes amazed by the journey that had brought them together. "Having second thoughts about marrying the help," he teased gently. Grace rolled her eyes. "I married the CEO of Elliot Sustainable Housing. And more importantly, I married the man who saw me when I was invisible to everyone else." "You were never invisible," Victor replied, "just waiting to be found." Over the next 5 years, their lives evolved in ways neither could have predicted. Victor's company grew, developing a reputation for quality, affordable housing that eventually partnered with the Evans Foundation on several community projects. Grace restructured the Evans Group, delegating more to focus on the foundation and their growing family, which expanded to include twin boys 2 years after their wedding. They split their time between a practical family home and Grace's country estate, which became a gathering place for foster children supported by the foundation. Victor never fully acclimated to the wealth, insisting on teaching all 3 children the value of work and compassion. Grace never stopped appreciating the stability and grounded perspective Victor brought to her life. On the 5th anniversary of their meeting, they returned to the mall, this time with Lily now a confident teenager and the 3-year-old twins, Oliver and Ethan. "This place looks smaller than I remember," Victor remarked as they walked past the boutique where it all began. "That's because your world got bigger," Grace replied, squeezing his hand. Lily rolled her eyes good-naturedly. "They're going to tell the story again," she warned her little brothers, who were more interested in the toy store window than their parents' nostalgia. "It's a good story," Victor defended, lifting Oliver onto his shoulders. "The best story," Grace agreed, bending to help Ethan tie his shoelace. "The one where a security guard saved a damsel in distress. And the damsel turned out to be a secret millionaire," Lily continued dramatically. "Billionaire," Grace corrected with a wink. "If we're telling it right." Victor shook his head, smiling. "The money was never the point of the story." "No," Grace agreed, rising to kiss him softly. "The point was that sometimes, protecting someone else leads you to exactly where you're meant to be." As they continued through the mall, a family forged from unexpected circumstances, Victor reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From struggling single father to business owner, from lonely security guard to beloved husband and father of 3. From a man who had lost faith in second chances to one who had found love when he least expected it. All because he'd done his job on an ordinary day that had turned out to be anything but.